I built this box to hold my iPad, and on the bottom of the box, I attached one leg of a tripod, sort of an improvised monopod, you could say. That way I don't have to support the weight of the box or the iPad, and it also allows me to rotate the iPad rather than using the rotate tool inside Procreate. I had my eye on this scene for months and months before I finally managed to make arrangements with the owner of this restaurant to let me come in a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, sit in the restaurant by myself and work on this painting. So I was really glad that I finally had the chance to do it. The restaurant was very quiet. It's in the ground floor of an apartment building. There's, 10 floors above it. And I couldn't hear any of the residents in the apartments above, but while I was sitting there alone in the dark, I could hear the gurglings of water in the pipes. I could hear the hum of the refrigerators in the restaurant behind me. It was kind of spooky for a minute. And then I just settled into the calm zone of painting. The first step in the painting was to block things in a loose, painterly way, just to get a sense of the composition in exactly the same way that I would approach a painting with oil. I prefer to paint with oils now, but I decided to paint this one on my iPad because I didn't want to get paint on anything. I didn't own this restaurant. I don't want to cause any damage. And also, the iPad provides its own source of illumination, which is useful when you're painting in the dark. Anyway, the second thing that I wanted to make sure that I locked down was that car. I didn't build the idea of the painting around the car. That wasn't part of what inspired me to do this, but I knew that that was going to be the one thing that would definitely change over time. I knew that I'd be painting for 7-8 hours over the course of several weeks, and it was during a transitional period during the year. The seasons were changing, the leaves were falling, it was raining some days, not on other days. But I could work around all those things. All of those things were organic. That car, I knew that if I wanted that to look accurate and right and realistic and to the same level of finish as the rest of the painting, I had to lock that down. Various cars parked in different spots along the street directly in front of me and along that side street over the course of the painting process. I decided to stick with just that one. I found myself anthropomorphizing that black car, sitting there alone in the dark. I think in life, much of the time, emotions are overrated. But in this case, it felt appropriate to me. It made the street feel sort of lonely somehow in a way that appealed to me. I do find myself drawn towards something that I've always thought of as a beautiful melancholy, like a song in a minor key or something like that. Really appeals to me. It doesn't always have to be about that, but in this case, it felt right. So I took the time to finish that car, probably 90%. And then the last 10% would be improvisation, depending on pulling the different parts of the painting together. You subdue certain parts, you pull other parts out, make some things lighter, connect the shadows, and etc., etc. There comes a point when you have to stop looking at the subject and just look at the painting and make it a better painting, regardless of what the subject looks like. But I locked in that car the best that I could on the first day I was working. The painting process, for the most part, was exactly what I was looking for, what I was hoping it would be. It was very calm, very quiet, peaceful. There were a few interesting things that happened while I was working on it, though. In order to be in the restaurant by myself, I had to be able to set the security alarm when I left. My access was through the side fire door. I think the second day that I came in, between the time that I arrived and the time that I was trying to leave, someone had set up camp in that fire door. I didn't realize that he was there until after I had already set the alarm and it had started counting down from 60 before it automatically set itself. So I tapped on the glass of the door and I pointed to the sign that said in big bold letters, "Please do not camp here, you are on camera." And I said, "You can't be here." He apologized and gathered up his stuff, but I just stood there, willing him to hurry up because I didn't want to have to explain to the security company why the alarm was going off, or explain to the owner what had happened. He did get his stuff and get out of the way, and I managed to get out the door before the alarm went off, so that was fine. The next time I went in to work on the painting, the same thing happened again with a different guy. He wasn't there when I arrived, and he was there when I was trying to leave. That guy wasn't apologetic. He cursed me under his breath, but he didn't come back, so that's all I cared about. There were quite a few people that walked by on the sidewalk, and it was funny to see the expression on their faces when they caught a glimpse of me through the window. My face must have been illuminated from beneath from the iPad, as if I was holding a flashlight under my chin, like I was telling a scary story at Halloween or something. I wasn't trying to be spooky, but it was just the nature of the situation. The expression on their faces was funny. As I got toward the end of the process, maybe 3/4 of the way through, I think I was working on nuances of perspective of the windows. I wanted to make sure that I got that completely right. And so I wasn't looking up and down as much. When I did eventually look up, I saw a guy wearing jeans but no shoes and no shirt, sort of slouching in front of the restaurant across the street. And one of the servers from that restaurant was blocking his entrance. I thought, what's this? What's going on here? This street corner is right in the middle of the city, right downtown. And it's an area that has a lot of homelessness, a lot of tent encampments. I see a lot of discarded needles on the street and things, so I watched for a few seconds and then went back to work. When I looked back up again, the server had gone, and he was replaced by what I can only assume was the manager. The manager was pointing harshly away from the restaurant, clearly telling the guy to go away. When I looked back up again the third time, they had both gone, so I assumed the situation had resolved itself. But then, after a few seconds, here comes that shirtless guy again, only now he had taken off his pants and was walking down the sidewalk, completely bare-ass naked, swinging his jeans over his head like a cowboy in a rodeo. It was a lasso. He turned down that corner and started whacking his pants against the wall for some reason. And then he disappeared, and it was finally over. He was clearly mentally ill, or maybe he was on something, or both. It wasn't a life or death situation. I was just glad that it didn't become violent. There's been too much of that stuff around here lately. Overall, the experience of painting this was just about exactly what I was hoping for. Mostly calm, very peaceful. In the end, I decided to leave it black and white, despite doing a little bit of experimentation with color. because the color just seemed to be a distraction. By the way, what do you think of my voice? Purely by coincidence, I happen to be sick right now, and I thought that it lent a certain gravitas to the narration, which felt appropriate for the nature of the painting.